Greetings, friends and family. I'm hard at work, trying to get my mission out there. Learning the guitar, cleaning up my room, and all of that, and doing whatever I can do to be positive. Anyway, this video now is to all my, I hate the word fans, Uh, this is to all the appreciators of my music. I need to clear up why the name change from CHIOZO to JIMEE Dramatic. Okay, so because we're going to go official now, we need to explain this. Um, the reason for the change is simply because JIMEE Dramatic is an entertainer, and as long as I call myself JIMEE Dramatic, then I can entertain you, and I can go on stage and do whatever, dance, move around, shake my whatever, shake my legs, shake my hips, whatever, anything that moves, that's all right. I can go crazy. It's acceptable, right? Um, but I cannot do that with the name CHIOZO, you see, because the reality is I'm from a royal family, you see, and CHIOZO is a chief, you know, under King Makambira in Katabe. So if traditionally, anywhere in Africa, a king cannot entertain the people. The people who do the entertainment belong to a certain class, or a certain section, and you sit down as a king and let the people entertain you. Because it is one of those things. It is a king's privilege to be entertained by the musicians and the dancers and that kind of thing. So, the reason why, because I was thinking, why is this not going through? And there's another reason as well why this whole thing, all these many years, the music has not been breaking through. There's so much power in the name, but one of them is that, oh, there's some music playing down there. Oh, anyway, let me stick to the issue. As CHIOZO, my job is to take care of the people. It could be the advice, the administration, giving land, judging cases, community leadership, all these things that have to do with our traditions and keeping us as Africans or whatever. Within that capacity, I can be CHIOZO. If I was to put together a DVD or a CD where the issue is things that have to do with our life, our governance or whatever, I can put that out where I'm talking as CHIOZO. I am addressing our people just like I'm doing now. This can come out as CHIOZO because CHIOZO, the name CHIOZO, this is the other issue. The name CHIOZO, for a long time, I thought it came from Malawi. It did not. The minute I started calling myself CHIOZO and I went to London, even here in August, before I went to London, Nigerians would come up to me and say, "Oh, are you Igbo?" And I says, "No, I'm not Igbo." They say, "But CHIOZO is an Igbo name." And I say, "No, it's a Malawian name. Sorry to disappoint you." And they says, "No, that's an Igbo name." And I say, "No, it's Malawian." So they say to me, "Well, what does it mean?" And I didn't have no explanation because my mother told me that name way back. When I was 23 is when she told me that name. Before that, people used to know me as Gad, G-A-D, because of Rastafari. So born in November, I belong to the tribe of Gad. So here in Denmark, in Copenhagen, everybody calls me Gad because I'd refused the name Jimmy. That time I was like, no, Jimmy is a Scottish name. So I say, when people say Jimmy, I say, what? Who's Jimmy? Jimmy gone to Scotland, So, so I'm not Scottish. I am Gad from the tribe of Gad, a 12 tribe. So I managed to get that out. So now people know me as Gad because of that, you see. Anyway, so when I was 23, my mother could kind of like see that he needs to know a little more. So she told me more about my dad. And then she says, "And this is your name, CHIOZO." So I used it ever since, you see. And people are like, "What's this CHIOZO thing?" And most people don't get it. The Spanish always say chorizo. And I always get pissed off that why, as a Rasta, you don't eat meat, and then you go to the point of where they're gonna say chorizo, which is a pork sausage, you know what I'm saying? And they say chorizo. And even just trying to say chiozo. ¿Cómo se dice? Chiozo. you know? And but still, it's like when you check out, it's like this youth. No matter what I do, I get blocked. I get blocked. I get blocked. It's always like it's gonna happen, but then it get blocked, and I'm wondering, whoa, something's, And I think it's this year that I changed from CHIOZO to JIMEE Dramatic. First I just said no, I just want to be Jimmy. I was in Malawi for a while, and I kept meeting Tonga people, and because of the name CHIOZO, I performed at Moonrock Festival. I went on stage, and because of the name CHIOZO, the chief of that area, which is the Chinteche area, Malenganzoma, she was a woman. The officials came up to me and said, "Is your name CHIOZO?" After I finished playing, it was in the afternoon. I was the first act after the chief's speech. I'm coming off stage. I'm leaving my band playing, and I'm coming off stage, and I'm going, and I see these officials run up to me, and I'm thinking I'm in trouble because they're in suits and everything. I'm thinking, and they come to me and they say, "Is your name CHIOZO?" I say, "Yes." And I say, "Why are you using this name and whatever?" I say, "Oh, it's the name of my grandfather." They say, "Really? Come with us." And I was thinking, shit, what have I done now? Because it's like it's the chief and it's her officials. I said, "You need to meet your grandma." In Africa, even your grand aunt or a relative to you is still your grandmother. You need to meet your grandmother. So they bring me there, and she says, "CHIOZO, where you from?" And I tell her, "Yeah, of Sanga village, which is just not too far from Chinteche Inn. And she says, "No, you're my grandson." And then she starts telling me a little bit of history and everything. And the woman is crying, and I'm crying. And the newspapers are there, the main newspapers. And it's very. I love Malawi and I love Malawians. I love the way we are, very respectful. The journalists were there and they could see, "Ooh, this is a big thing." They could see this is that youth who was up there with that international sound, that Bob Marley rock sound, and he's coming here and they're seeing me unite with my roots right there. And it was like, whoa, what a thing, And they all just kind of like humble themselves. They don't write. They stop being journalists. They now just become Malawians, you see? And they watch this whole thing. And it was wonderful. When I realized who she was, like I was down on my knees and I was crying and she told me to get up. And so I think it was at that point that the name served its purpose, because by calling myself CHIOZO as an artist, I got in touch with my roots, and they knew that he's alive, he exists, and that was good. And from that point on, it became very difficult to use the name again because I began to associate it with royalty and those type of things. And it's not going to be the royals who's going to go up there and entertain the people on the stage. You see, so I started assuming more of my royal role, and to look out for our people. And then I can't just be saying CHIOZO, 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 CHIOZO. I cannot be doing that anymore. As far as music is concerned, so I stopped. So I started going for Jimmy. I just want to be Jimmy. Why? Because that's the name my parents gave me, and that's how my brothers and my sisters know me. And I just wanted to be that person. I did not want to have to be, okay, because I'm Rasta or because I'm this, I'm trying to find myself. I found myself and I'm Jimmy, so I said Jimmy. But I was almost going to spell it like Jimi Hendrix, Jimi. And I thought, nah, that's pretentious again. So let's just do it differently. So Jimee, Jimmy. A little bit of class to it, Jimmy. So I went with that for a while, and then I was in London, and then I met this woman, and she is from Barbados or something, and she goes like, "What's your name?" "Jimmy." And then she asked me other questions, and each question that she asked me, every answer was dramatic. And she says that, "Can't you tell anything about yourself without being dramatic? Why is everything about you so dramatic?" And I said, "Wow, you're right, I'm Jimmy Dramatic, and it stuck from ever since. So that's the whole thing about the change of my name. But there's just one more thing about the CHIOZO I need to tell you. Just the other day I was talking to this brother in Christiania. There's a brother who sits and begs in Christiania. He's an Igbo man, right? And from Nigeria. And we started talking about Biafra and everything, and we're talking about the wealth that's in Nigeria and all of that. And I'm trying to tell him, look, those are my people. And I explained to him that the CHIOZOs are not from Malawi originally, because I went to Malawi and I asked, and they said, so we don't know. We don't know. But everybody started pointing where we came from, and they said that direction. So I'm thinking it must be Congo or Zaire. But I met a cousin of mine. And you need to hear the mystics about how I met him. On a minibus traveling from Katabe, now from Zuzu to Katabe on a minibus, I'm traveling and I'm beginning to get close to where my roots are. The minibus breaks down. It has a puncture by a house. This is the real God's honest truth. It has a puncture by a house, stops dead, and all the people get out, right? And I get out too. And then this brother starts walking towards us. He's coming from his house. We're broken down right in front of his house. And he says, "Hey, Rastaman." And I talk to him. And he says something, and I realize this guy, he looks mad, but this is a very learned person. So I get interested, and we start to talk. And he's the one who starts to tell me the history of where the CHIOZOs come from. And he says, no, they're Nigerians. They were brought as slaves, and they were put on the island, on Chirwa Island. And that's where we come under the clan name of Chirwa. You see, because even the Chirwas come up. They're Tongas. They say they come from Congo. But the CHIOZOs, they join the Chirwas and we come under the Chirwa. But the CHIOZOs are from Nigeria. So the Chirwas are made up of people from several places. You see? Now, we've been in Katabe by the lake there for 700 years, 800 years, by Sanga village. And so I gained a little more history about that. And I said, oh, okay. But the mystics of how it happened, it is powerful, And this brother's name was Brian. And he's a mystical man, mystical. The same things I'm not telling you, which is just for me. I'm not going to tell you. Anyway, now to finish this off. So I'm telling the Igbo man in Christiania the other day about how I found out that I'm from Nigeria. And the minute I told him this story about the breakdown of the car, he sat down quiet and he listened. He knew that this is the serious thing now. This is the real thing, right? And he must respect me. So he started to talk to me different. He says, no, but let's look at your name properly, he says to me. But I don't know the pronunciation. He says, if you say CHIOZO, or say CHIOZO, so it's different ways of saying it. If you spell it with the O and the U, CHIOZO, it means one thing. It means God's way. But if you say CHIOZO, like how I spell it, it means another God, which we can't have. There's only one God. And then I realized why things were not working out. You're calling yourself another God in a powerful African language like Igbo. You're calling yourself another God. You are blocking yourself, my brother. If you're dealing with these things, it needs to go God's way, not the way of another God. You cannot make yourself another God. So it must be CHIOZO, not CHIOZO. So I learned that. Isn't that powerful? Isn't Jah great? Another Bunny Wailer song comes to my head. Never knew that the time would come when every fig would come from where it belonged. Never knew. There's a song from Blackheart Man. I can't remember the lyrics. I need to know it. So jump, little figs, into your tree and say you are free. Say you are free. Hey, mama fig tree, where I long to be. I'm going to be subject for a libel case here for just messing up the man's song. But anyway, enough respect to the legendary Bunny Wailer. You know what I'm saying? It's like Snoop Lion. No, nothing Rasta. Those people are lost. Enough respect to Bunny Wailer. Because especially the Blackheart Man. What we're dealing with is truth. Love, Rastafari.